So, someone sent me a video request on Twitter to overview a video of an interview with this woman named Superhead. I'm vaguely familiar with her. I know she dated some rapper at some point in time. That's how culturally ignorant I am. If I really cared enough to do research into her, I could probably find out more, but I'm really not. I'm more interested in what she's saying here, which I actually saw the video a minute ago. I say a minute ago, it was like a couple weeks ago. And I was like, okay. But then I actually checked my Twitter DMs for once, and someone asked me to do it. And I was like, okay. So, the title of this video, at least on World Star Hip Hop, is If Your Penis is 6 inches, it's small. Most men have small penises. It isn't satisfying anymore. She says she wants all men to hear this. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. As a PSA, I don't know what the flip we're supposed to do with that information. Let's, just for sake of conversation, actually reference what is a 6-incher. Okay? Give me one moment. So, as it turns out, right, we go half of a foot is about this. It's about 6 inches, of course, ignoring the metal part, obviously. So this is 6 inches, right? which is quite a thing, right? Could you, if you imagine this in you know, in penile form, this is pretty hefty son of a gun, right? And what Superhead is supposed to be telling us, which is why I actually find this conversation rather hilarious. She's telling us that in a world where women can get off to fingering themselves, look at your fingers, right? Like, women can get off to the fingering themselves, right? This is too small. Fingers can get them off. This is too small. So, let's see what she has to say.
Slut shaming is born in the insecurities of men. And your insecurities are born in your penises and your wallet size.
It will never cease to amaze me how a woman could have so much sex with so many men and then still have such a rudimentary understanding of us, right? Insecurities don't stem from your penis and wallet size. They stem from the fact that it's not enough for women, stupid. You're insecure because you don't think that it's enough. You are unsure, that's what the word means, that you have enough to satisfy some other person, particularly a woman. They don't have enough money for women. Their dicks are too small for women. That's why they're insecure.
Because honestly, and I'm gonna be super frank here, I never heard a big dick man with not just big dick energy, not just BDE, but a man who's well endowed. I've never seen a well endowed man call a woman a whore.
I mean, assuming that your life experience is true, I have. So, I don't, like, so what difference does it make? I've never seen it. I have. Well, anecdotal experience is just what her point is that men only need to put down women because they feel bad about themselves. And while there might be true to that statement, what she's trying to lead with is absolutely nonsensical. I mean, absolutely nonsensical.
Okay.
It's always the men who can't handle a sexually advanced woman in the bedroom.
I don't really think that that's ever been young men's issue, is that the sexual sensation itself is the problem. As in, a woman who's really good at having sex is a problem. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is for her to get to that point without you would require her of having sex with lots of different men. That means when she gets to you, there is a perception, there is an assumption that her ability to pair bond would be severely weakened due to the fact that sex does not hold the same intimacy for her as it would for you. Now, now it could be true either way it goes. I would imagine that it is mostly true either way it goes, but men are a bit different in this regard than women, which isn't to say that men should be promiscuous. They shouldn't. I don't know why we accept that men should be promiscuous. It's ridiculously moronic, but tabling that discussion for another time. The long and short of it is, it's not women who are sexually advanced that's the problem. It's how she became sexually advanced is the problem. And the assumption is that she will be a disloyal individual. That's the issue. If a woman was a virgin and you only had sex with her, and over time she got really good at having sex, nobody's going to be upset about that. Not one person. The problem is you'd have to actually invest in that person. And everybody seems to have a problem with that.
Okay.
When a woman is able to discern better, she's able to make more acute decisions, which means that a lot of men are going to be rejected because now she's seen more penises. She's seen small ones, large ones, fat ones, skinny ones. She's seen brown ones, yellow ones, black ones, white ones, right, pink ones. I'm not done. She's seen circumcised, uncircumcised. She's seen low-hanging balls. She's seen high-hanging balls. She's seen hairy ones. Okay. All right. So she's seen all the penises, right?
And thus, with such a statement, she has indeed confirmed that the sexual experiences of which she is commentating on are of an incredibly promiscuous woman. And honestly, I think we can probably end the video here. Like, this is not worth a discussion because a woman that's been this promiscuous, having high expectations or higher standards of the men to pleasure her, only hurts her. First of all, do you guys actually want to be with women that are incredibly promiscuous? Because typically, what gets a woman to being incredibly promiscuous is never a good thing. Most women don't come from great homes and then think to themselves, I'm going to go have a whole bunch of sex with a lot of different men because I don't care. It's either peer pressure that gets into that. It's either them being restricted when they were growing up and they weren't able to actually understand the importance of sex. They just were told to fear it until they finally feel the pleasure of it and they just lose their minds because they never understood that with great power comes great responsibility. Still ain't a good thing for them to go crazy like that. Or sometimes they were sexually assaulted, and in order to reclaim the control they feel over their body, they purposely choose to put themselves in dangerous situations with new men and have a lot of sex to reclaim whatever feeling or whatever security they lost after being assaulted that way. Either way it goes, whether it's them trying to find some type of self-esteem or comfort in the attention and validation of men, women being this promiscuous never comes from a good place. I've probably only ever seen one woman in the history of my entire tenure on this planet of Earth that ever said that she has sex with men because she understands it makes them feel good. And even then, that's kind of only half of her motivation, not the entirety of it. And I only saw that woman on the internet. I didn't actually meet that woman. Most women aren't altruistic in their dispensation of sex. They're not having sex because they know it feels good to men. They're doing it because it feels good to them. Which, again, kind of reduces men to kind of walking dildos. Which, ironically, is the same sexual objectification they rage against. So they're hypocrites too. They're just morally dubious individuals. So her opinion of her saying that 6 inches isn't enough, I believe it. And maybe it ain't enough. But honestly, I don't want to be with a woman like her to begin with. So, yeah, neither the two shall meet. And it's not going to make her happy in the future. So, ultimately, the person she really hurts more than anyone in this scenario is herself. The irony here is that she doesn't realize it. Anyway, I guess we can keep going.
But now, what she has is this grading curve. She has this discernment. Educated women are able to make more educated decisions. When women are able to make more educated decisions, more men get rejected. It's that rejection that the male ego cannot stand.
Now, here's the interesting part about this, which is actually really remarkable. I think a lot of people don't understand this element of rejection. The people that get upset from being rejected are either people that have been rejected too much or people who have been rejected too little. It's typically an extreme that gets you here. But if you're here in the middle, if you're normal, you just had... Well, as men, you actually end up getting rejected sexually by women a lot before you get accepted. It's just kind of par for the course. But the people that do have an ego about themselves, the men that can't handle rejection, are typically the men that haven't been rejected before. It's like telling a spoiled kid that they can't have ice cream when they want to have ice cream. Those are the men that can't handle rejection. Ironically, you've kind of flipped the script. It's actually Super Chad and Tyrone, who have always had a whole bunch of sex, being rejected, that gets the gruff male ego, you can't do this to me. It's not normal men that get rejected who operate like that. And if they do get to that point, it's probably because they've been rejected a ridiculous amount of time, so much so that it's just aggravating and frustrating. But the thing that's goofy to me is the fact that no one likes being rejected.
Which is why there are incels in the world who are beating, raping, murdering, and deforming women.
No, it's definitely not the abusive men that women pick. It's the incels that they don't pick, who are able to do this intimate partner violence. I understand it's a bit more complex than that, but I mean, if they're incels and they're not being picked by women, how are they able to beat them and murder them and rape them in intimate partner relationships if they're not intimate partners? You're not going to answer it because you don't know what you're talking about, so.
Because they're being rejected. The male ego is dangerous and it cannot handle rejection. So therefore, ergo, if a woman is shamed, sexually shamed, it makes her not want to exercise her right to gain the same sexual education that men get.
I believe you mean sexual opportunity. I find it ironic that the type of men you're describing are not incels. The type of men you're describing are the men that are equally as promiscuous, which just makes no sense. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's hilarious to me that the only reason you are allowed to speak is because you're a promiscuous woman. It's incredible. Like, the only reason people care about anything you have to say is because you've had sex with a lot of men, and those men you happen to have sex with were popular and had some type of skill, or were like rappers, or were prolific in some area. They're in the higher up echelons of society. That's the only reason we care. Like, you're not saying it. Like, what you're saying is contradictory to itself. You say incels have big egos and can't handle rejection, but they have to shame women to bar them from the same sexual education that they have?
It allows her, without that education, she's not able to better discern, which means that if she's only seen one penis, because now this is where the fascination with virgins comes from. A virgin, a woman who hasn't been around either or, she hasn't seen probably any penises, maybe just one or two.
The internet just doesn't exist, I guess.
She hasn't been down to Miami during spring break or to hedonism in Jamaica and seen that penises get pretty big and awesome, right? She hasn't tried out a bunch of penises. She's a virgin or she's very inexperienced. Men like
or
this
say
better
small,
because then a man who is inept, and to be honest, most men are inept. Okay, the average penis size is only 6 inches. That's not a lot of penis. I'm sorry. I'm giving it to you guys. Really, like, listen, no chaser here. 6 inches is not a lot of penis.
Okay.
There's men out here with 8, 9, 10, 12 inches. Okay, and more. I've seen more.
Okay.
I've seen a lot more. Okay. I can't even get into it. I've seen some things. Okay, some things.
So I'm
curious.
Right? I'm curious.
Listen.
Can I ask a question?
Wait, not yet. Let me finish my sermon. Okay?
Okay.
We in church.
In the church of the BBC, I guess.
So now, when men shame women because of those insecurities, that makes women not want to have the sex that they really want. It makes them afraid to have the sex that they want to have. That shame is meant to make men feel better.
I'm going to be really honest with you, but I cannot empathize with women on this one. If the only thing that's stopping you from being promiscuous or, as you put it, having the sex they want is that people will say mean things about you, you should not be having sex because you are weak-minded. You do not have the strength of character to deal with the fact that people are not going to accept you. You do not have the strength of character to ignore the negative opinions of other people. And thus, you should just abstain from it. Just don't do it. Just don't, because it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. Listen, what are you going to get? You're going to have sex with different men. And what are you going to get out of that? Higher expectations that's going to make it harder for you to get off from the next man that you had sex with. If anything, you're only hurting yourself more. But let's say you do get the super ultra mega guy. Now what? Are you actually going to be able to maintain a long-term relationship with them? Or did you only just want to have the one-off nightstand so you can remember that as you masturbate until you die? Or until you find some other chummy guy that you can keep around you so he provides for you while you fantasize about being with a man that's better than him? Because if anything, it just makes you an awful person from start to finish. You're crappy from start to finish. Not because you want to have sex, but because you only are treating men as things for you to use. Which again is ironic to me, considering the fact that lots of you guys love to complain about how men treat women like they're sexual objects. What's that then? Why is it okay to do it to men? Shouldn't it be wrong across the board?
So now it's like, well, I don't want to, I would have sex. I would have more sex, but they're going to call me a whore. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to settle for this little penis man that I met one time. And now I'm having horrible sex the rest of my life so that I don't hurt his ego.
I don't know. That still makes her the villain. Because now she has settled for a man that has given his life for her. And he is but an afterthought in her mind. He is but a tool that is not up to snuff. He's not a person. Did you ever notice, which I find remarkably interesting, and again, there is no altruism in sex, which is so weird to me considering the fact that it requires another person. There is no marrying of the two ideas that you can pleasure that person as much as that person can pleasure you. That the two people can work together. It's interesting to me that now, because his peen is too small, it's going to be unsatisfactory. First of all, how in the fuck would a woman know that it's unsatisfactory if it's the only penis she's ever had? I guess she can experiment with dildos. So, continue.
The men with the smaller, inadequate penis, and there's a lot of small penises in this world. Listen to me, there are a lot of small penises in this world. Most men have small. Listen, I don't know if men know this. I'm not done. I'm not done. Men need to hear this. Most of y'all, listen, what camera am I looking? Most of y'all have small, most of y'all have small penises. You've seen porn. You know how big they get. They get pretty big. And once a woman figures that out, she ain't going back to 6 inches or 5 or 4. Some of them are like a cool inch. I was married to a man who had a cool 1.5 inches. I know because I measured it. Trust me. It's not good.
So if I understand correctly, she married this dude, basically wasted his time, wasted both their times in a sexually unsatisfying marriage, and then blames him for his insecurity when it is completely founded. Which is interesting. I don't know. Young ladies are really interesting to me. Like women are the biggest causes of men's insecurities, and then they act like they're not. It's just weird to I find it interesting. I don't know how they do this. I don't know how their brains operate like this. It's weird. I don't get it. It don't make no sense to me. I think the best explanation I have is that men aren't humans to them. Like men aren't people. Like we're automatons, right? Like men exist as a concept to get them things. And if they don't get them those things, then they fail to be men. They fail to be useful, so they don't care anymore. Like his own thoughts, his feelings, the things that he desires, what he wants to do, is all irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything. So to her, it makes perfect sense, honestly. Like so to her, honestly, her opinion is absolutely worthless. It's worthless in numerous different degrees. For one, she's not right. Okay, like the premise is silly. That most women are super first of all, if a woman is super unsatisfied with a 6-inch penis, She's gonna have to figure that one out. Like that's no one else's burden but hers. Like if that's too little for you, that sounds like a you problem. You can literally do Kegel exercises to make your vagina tighter. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care. Literally, there is no excuse for young ladies. If you can make your vagina tighter, I don't want to hear it. I really don't. Just teach me. Make it tighter. I don't care. Literally, Kegel. You can literally go on Amazon right now, buy a Kegel exercise machine right now. I don't care. I really don't. No man should care. Now, of course, men are going to care because they want to pleasure and satisfy women. That's one of the craziest things to me. It's remarkable to me that men feel this way because they don't feel like they can pleasure women. That's the insecurity. They don't feel that they can keep having sex. They can't do something for women. Ironically, with an appendage that is designed for reproduction. Like its purpose is its tertiary purpose or anything else is sexual satisfaction anyway. And yet, despite the fact that they feel this way, we lambast them, we make them feel bad, and it's their fault for feeling this way when it's totally unfounded based on what she just said. I don't know. It's crazy to me. But like I said, honestly, it is what it is. Listen. He still had sex with her. So, like, if you're a woman, you can't retroactively be like, his dick was too small. Well, you had sex with him. That's on you. You picked him. I don't want to hear it. You picked him. I don't care. Like, what are we supposed to say? I don't know what I'm supposed to say. It's unreasonable. It's hilarious. It's incredibly unreasonable. But I think, in conclusion, we also just can't take her opinion seriously. For one, 6 inches is more than enough. For most women. I mean legitimately more than enough. Like, as it actually turns out, a lot of women, it's not all of them, obviously. There's some women that, like, you know, they could just get rammed, right? Like, I mean, it's not even a joke. But for most, the vast majority, I'm probably like 80% of women, like, they're not going to really be able to handle it. Like, they really can't. Because they're not really, it's too big for them. So, in all actuality, you're going to be just fine. If you took 2 fingers and you put it in a woman's vagina, she's gonna be fine. Like, if a woman can get off to being fingered, they can all miss me with this nonsense that men's penises are too small. Unless it is legitimately a 1-inch micro penis, I don't want to hear it. I really don't. I don't care. Figure it out. That sounds like a you problem. I can't do anything about that. You can do something about it. You can make your vagina tighter. So I can't do nothing about it. That's all on you. And if you don't want to do anything about it, then shut up. I don't care. Stop talking about it. There's literally nothing men can do. So, yeah. I do think that we are really comfortable, and why we as a society, mistreating men and treating them like they're tools. If not tools to build something or tools to obtain resources, then they're just walking dildos. And I think that might be the saddest part of this video. I think that might really be the saddest part. So with that being said, I actually hope you guys got something out of today's video. I doubt it. But if you did, you know, go and click the like button. And shoot, want to click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.